On this episode of MythBusters, it's the first ever viewer special, where all our myths were found by fans. You asked, could cigarette butts be a lethal weapon?
It bleeds!
You demanded to know if putting a car into reverse could stop your car.
Hey, did you see the smoke off those tires?
You also wanted to know if sneezing with your eyes open could pop out your eyeballs. And if a tennis ball could serve as a lockpick.
Don't try this at home.
Then you even donated a car for some high explosives hijinks. So buckle up and get fired up, because this show is for you. Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage.
Ow, 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 ow.
And Jamie Heineman.
It's almost too exciting.
Wow!
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
Cue dramatic music.
Joining them, Carrie Byron, Grant Imahara,
Danger! Warning! Warning!
and Tori Belleci.
$10.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Drumroll, please. If you're ready, it's time for the very first MythBusters viewer special.
Yeah, since the beginning of season 5, or the Hindenburg episode, we've been appealing to you for ideas.
Yeah, we've been inundated. Some are myths and some are just questions people need answers to.
The kind of questions that keep America awake at night.
Exactly.
So we're just going to take the most popular ideas that the viewers are giving us, and we're going to test them here now.
Well, let's split it up. You guys take a few, and we'll take a few.
Perfect. Why don't Jamie and I kick it all off? Are you ready for this? We're just about to do the most requested myth ever in the history of MythBusters. Over 10,000 people have asked us to take this one on.
What?
Okay, quite simply put, and I can tell you're really excited, but calm down. Okay, here it is. That if you sneeze with your eyes open, your eyes will pop out of your head and roll across the floor.
Get out!
Swear to God. Now, thanks to the viewer requests, we're gonna take it on.
Why does your poor old body look so discombobulated, huh? Why do it, huh? Here, take a good sniff of this here smelling salt. Come on,
In
baby.
cartoons, a good sneeze can catapult you into the ceiling. In the real world, MythBusters fans reckon sneezing with your eyes open could pop them right out. So, is there anything to this myth, or will the eye pop sneeze be all washed out? The physics of this myth are nothing to sniff at. A sneeze is the fastest physical reaction of the human body, with the spray reaching speeds of over 120 miles an hour. So, perhaps this force is violent enough to propel your peepers out of place. For viewer myth number 1, the team gets straight into capturing some chews.
The setup is pretty straightforward. Your basic grid, which we love to put behind all our high-speed shots. Then Jamie and I need to sit in a chair in front of the high-speed camera and generate a sneeze. Hold our eyes open while we're doing it. The high-speed should make it absolutely clear if we're successful, and that should answer this question.
Yep, it really is that simple. So, who's first for the sneeze shooting range?
So, have you ever tried to make yourself sneeze?
No, I get boogers all over my mustache.
Despite his snot rocket reservations, Jamie takes the hot seat. And to induce sneezing, Adam tries a well-known tickly tactic.
Does that help at all?
No, it's me off, though.
The Heineman isn't moved. So they try something from the cartoons. Pepper up the nose, perhaps with eye-popping results.
My experience in the past with pepper, plain old black pepper, it makes me sneeze.
So, what is it about pepper that makes you sneeze?
Well, pepper, whether it's white, black, or green, has an alkaloid of pyridine called piperine, and this irritates the nerve endings underneath your mucous membranes, and it wants to get it out of there.
So your nose wants to get the irritant out, and the only way it knows how to do that is to sneeze?
That's pretty much it.
All right.
That is pretty much it. But for Jamie, it's just not working.
It actually kind of makes me want to cough instead of sneeze because it's burning all the way down my throat.
Hey!
Gesundheit. But unfortunately, there's a problem.
Eyes totally closed. He lost his concentration. Eyes are totally closed. Oh, there's a little silvery booger there too, right on his big old stash. It glints in the light.
For this test, Jamie needed to keep his eyes open. But in the heat of the moment, he couldn't overcome the sneeze reflex.
Well, dude, your eyes are closed there. I think we need another shot at this.
I've got too much pepper in the system. I don't think I can do any more.
All right, well, I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Maybe Adam can keep his eyes on the prize.
Good luck, buddy.
Here we go. I just had one of those, what the hell are we doing moments.
Just like Jamie, Adam takes a big whiff of the pepper.
How's that?
That was a sneeze.
Yeah, I think I closed my eye. I'm pretty sure I did. I couldn't not.
And the high speed confirms it. At the precise moment of the sneeze, Adam's eyes were shut. He opened them afterwards. So this time, Adam has a plan to produce some potentially blinding results.
I'm gonna try and hold my eyes open this time. I'm gonna try like that. All right?
Whatever floats your boat.
Adam's not leaving anything to chance. This time, he'll clamp his eyes open. But will he be able to sneeze without causing permanent damage?
Oh my God, I think I was able to hold them open.
And before Adam can blink, there's another sneeze on the way.
Good job, you did it again.
Thank you.
Yep, it's another world first for MythBusters science. The high speeds confirm Adam definitely held his eyes open for both sneezes. And there was no bulging or eye popping in sight.
Oh my God, that's awful. Those eyes don't look like they're bulging out at all.
No.
No.
Well, they do, but they normally look that way when you peel the eyelashes back.
Viewer myth number 1 is looking ready to bust.
That's pretty definitive. I mean, I couldn't do it, but you sure as heck did. You did it twice.
Yeah, it's looking pretty busted, but because the fans asked so many times, I'd really like to wrap this up with an expert opinion.
The MythBusters are going all out for the viewers. So Adam heads to UCSF, where ophthalmologist Jackie Duncan can set him straight.
That's just it.
I'm sure that when the fans hear this question, they're thinking that you go, achoo, and your eye goes boink, 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 boink. I mean, could your eye actually pop all the way out of your head?
Well, that's almost impossible. There are a number of things holding your eye in your head. There's a covering over the surface of the eye called the conjunctiva. Your eye is also connected to 6 different extraocular muscles that allow your eyes to move around. Finally, the optic nerve is connected to your eye and would prevent it from falling out and rolling across the floor.
That's a lot of ophthalmology. But what it means is no matter how hard you blow, your eyes aren't going to go anywhere.
There you have it. I mean, I couldn't do it, but you sure as heck did, and you did it twice. You sneezed, you held your eyes open, and no eyeballs came out.
Here they are. Yeah, you asked for it, and we did it. This one is totally busted.
It's busted.
Next up, another fan favorite, hot off the website.
Our next viewer myth is a classic, and that is, can you stop a car by throwing it in reverse? And to test this, we've come to one of our favorite places, the runway at Alameda. We've gotten 2 donated cars, because we're pretty sure they're not gonna survive.
You ready to wreck these cars? Let's do it!
This viewer myth is not recommended for your car. We've all thought about it, and now you, the fans, want to know if you can stop a runaway car by throwing it into reverse. Can shifting gear stop your car, or will it just trash your transmission?
What's the plan, Stan?
Okay, this is a plan. I've got an automatic, you've got a stick shift. We'll drive it to 50 miles an hour and then stop at a line that we paint on the ground.
All right, we'll hit the regular brakes, see how long it takes for us to stop, and then for the grand finale, we'll throw it into reverse and see what happens.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah!
That's the plan. No frills, no fuss. You asked for it, and we deliver.
All right, here we go, Grant. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, go.
First up is the regular braking distance on the automatic.
At 50.
Oh my God.
Dang, did you see the smoke off those tires?
Do I have any tires left?
You do, but they're all on the asphalt.
So, how do Grant's skid marks measure up?
61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 65 feet.
65 feet to bring the automatic to a dead stop with the brakes.
In 3, 2, 1, go!
Tori accelerates to 50 miles an hour. And when he hits the stop line, he slams on the brakes.
All right!
Did you smell the rubber?
Dude!
That was fun!
Nice.
I want to do it again.
70, 75, 80.
80 feet?
80 feet with the regular brake pedal.
80 feet for the manual and 65 feet for the auto ain't bad. Them's the brakes. But what happens when you shift into reverse? How will the stopping distance compare? Tori's predicting some serious consequences.
Hey, Grant, if, just a crazy, let's hope this doesn't happen, but let's say you do go off course and you end up crashing and dying. Can I have your robot?
I want the robot to be buried next to me. Over.
I promise we will bury the robot next to you. He'll be dead. He won't know where the robot is. It's gonna be in my house.
All right, let's do this test. Here we go. Ready? In 3, 2,
1, go.
Grant brings the car up to 50 miles per hour. When he hits the white line, instead of hitting the brakes, he'll shift into reverse, just like you asked, and try to stop the car. Or at least, that's the theory.
That's interesting.
But that's not exactly the photo finish the guys were expecting.
Buddy, it doesn't look like you did anything.
Nope, it's in reverse. The check engine light's on, the battery light's on. I'm still coasting.
That was the most underwhelming outcome I've ever seen on this show. 2,270 feet.
Hey, it's a new record.
That's an extra 2,205 feet from the brakes. Turns out the automatic has a safety device, making it impossible to engage reverse while driving forward. The reverse stop theory is running out of gas. But there's still one more car to try.
Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Go!
Start your engines. Once again, Tori's gunning for 50 miles per hour. And when he hits the stop line, he throws the manual into reverse. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as you might think. The transmission crunches and Tori clenches.
Here we go, Gorn! Hit the brake! Save yourself!
But he can't engage the reverse gear.
Hey, you made it down here.
1,922 feet from the stop mark.
Oh my God, dude, trying to throw it into reverse to stop a manual is just not the way to go.
Did you actually use a brake at the end?
Eventually I had to use the brake because I couldn't engage it into reverse. It was just grinding. And at first I thought I could just keep grinding it to slow the car down, but it wasn't enough.
Even with Tori's mantra, if you can't find it, grind it, the car still went an extra 1,842 feet. Maybe that's because with a manual transmission, you have to be at a complete stop to select reverse. So, what's the verdict from the guys?
All right, the fans, they have been dying to see this one tested, and we tested it. Trying to stop a manual car by throwing it into reverse, totally busted.
Trying to stop an automatic car by throwing it into reverse, also busted.
All right, but we can't stop here. It sounds like you have something up your sleeve.
Yeah, automatics have a park gear. I think we have to get this car up to 50 miles an hour and throw it into park.
It's the viewer's special, and we owe it to you to leave no stone unturned. The team revs up for one last try at crashing the transmission.
Okay, everybody, heads up. This is the automatic. Going at 50 miles per hour, we are throwing it into park.
In 3, 2,
1, go!
They're going to park at 50 miles per hour. Will this give them the result they're after?
Okay, you're at 50?
Yep, we're at 50
Here it
miles
comes.
an hour. Here's
Here
the
it
stop.
comes!
Oh,
What?
nothing. I'm
What's
in.
happening?
I'm in park.
Even shifting into park didn't stop the car, which means viewer myth number 2 is busted.
That sucked?
And now for something completely different. MythBusters viewers like nothing more than a good bang. Be it an annihilated avalanche,
Oh, look at that.
detonating denim, or a cement truck turned torpedo. So it's no surprise that viewers want more.
All right, next one up says exploding car. Is that a myth?
It's no myth. Some kid emailed me, said he wanted us to blow up his parents' car. I told him, sure, why not, as long as he gets their permission.
Well, I suppose it is a viewer request special, so we ought to honor it.
Yeah, and I figure while we're at it, we should just use it as an excuse to test Hollywood explosions as opposed to the real thing.
That's perfect. We do 2 explosions. One's like a big Hollywood fireball, and the next one's like the cement truck.
The real deal.
Perfect. Let's do it.
It's a story inspired by Chris Canella. He wrote in with a simple wish. He wants his parents' car obliterated.
So this is your parents' car, is that right?
Yes, it's not mine.
Now, let me tell you what we have planned. You know how you watch those like old TV shows and the car always blows up?
Yeah.
So we're gonna replicate one of those and show that the car just totally still there. And then we're gonna show what a real car explosion really looks like.
Cool.
Will you come out with us on set and watch it go?
Yeah.
Excellent.
It may be this viewer's dream come true, but it's this car's worst nightmare. It's going to explode not once, but twice. And it's going to go down in one of the team's all-time favorite places.
We are back at one of the fans' most treasured MythBuster locations at the rock quarry where we blew up the cement truck and where we did 22,000-foot fall explosion. Today we're here to blow up a 12-year-old kid's parents' car. Twice. First time, it's gonna be a movie-style explosion, like from the 70s TV shows that you grew up with. The second time, it's gonna be a real explosion, and there's gonna be nothing left.
So the team's hoping for some car carnage, and retired FBI agent Frank Doyle is just the man for the job.
We're gonna fix it. We're gonna do some instantaneous repair.
As the bomb techs get technical, prepping the car for the Hollywood-style boom, Adam's pulling out all the movie cliches.
Here's how it's gonna set up. Camera's gonna be right where camera is right now. Car's gonna blow up. I'm gonna be running. Oh, and I'm gonna be diving, hopefully in midair as the explosion happens, and land safely on these mats. Then I get to live out my fantasy as a stuntman.
With Adam adamant he's playing the role of stuntman, Jamie wants to first take a few safety precautions.
So Adam, if you want to do that shot where you're running away from an explosion,
Yeah.
and the explosion's in the car.
I don't want any glass in my backside.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Maybe I should take the windows out, huh?
Yeah, can I do one?
Okay, sure.
Don't try this at home.
With the glass out the window, the bomb squad takes care of the rest.
This type of stunt is all about the visual effect. The main thing that people are going to be seeing here is just gasoline burning. Now, we are using explosives, but it is only to place under the gasoline to vaporize the gasoline and make it easier for the gasoline to burn.
That's the theory. And with the gas in place, everything's ready for some movie-inspired mayhem.
So, ready for a Hollywood-style explosion for your parents' car?
Yeah,
You got anything else you want us to blow up?
aside from my other parents' car.
Well, where is it? It's party time. Let's do this.
You feel ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, give me a high five. Excellent, let's go.
With everything set, stuntman Adam does his stretches. And then it's go time.
Burn a hole! 3, 2, 1.
It's a perfect copy of a cinematic cliche. Jamie presses the plunger, and in a move that Hannibal Smith would be proud of, Adam leaps as the car gets blown sky high. I love it when a plan comes together. Well, almost.
Of course, nothing ever goes quite as smoothly as you'd hope. And when the 3, 2, 1, which we had all planned out for me to start running at 3, to jump at 1, so that I'd be in the middle of the air at 0 when the bomb went off, the 3, 2, 1 happened a little slower than I thought it would, so I kind of had to slow down. Nonetheless, the high-speed shot of Jamie pushing the plunger while I'm in midair with the fireball behind, and the wide shot of the flames shooting high up into the sky, it could not have gone better.
You can't improve on perfection. And viewer Chris is pretty darn excited.
Right now, I pretty much feel like the happiest kid on earth, and this is just half of it.
He's right, of course, because now it's time for boom number 2.
What we just saw here, by my mind, is a classic Hollywood explosion. Somebody gets in the car, they turn the key, the car blows up. But when you look at the car more closely, it's still intact. All the structural stuff is here. The car is basically fine. The next thing we're going to do is put real explosives in this car, and the car is going to go away.
Next up, for the viewer special, the team takes a stab at something different.
What's that? Your lunch?
No.
What is it?
Remember when we did what's bulletproof?
Yep.
Well, the fans want to know what's stab proof. So what we're going to do is test different materials. We're going to do books, we're going to do paper money, and we're going to do coins, and we're going to see which stops a blade.
In What is Bulletproof, the team set out to find what would stop a slug. They set their sights on a range of mythical bullet stoppers, and the results were surprising.
Look, it's like completely encased in the plastic.
And now you, the viewers, want the team to pick up where they left off with 3 suggestions that may be stab-proof.
So what's the plan?
The plan is we'll dress the ham up in the shirt, and then we'll stick the different materials in the pocket, and then start stabbing away.
So the ham will be the stab wound stand-in. And it'll be facing a fully sharpened modern blade. So what's going under the knife first?
The first myth involves a modern knife, and the viewer's suggestion was a Bible. But a feeling that might be kind of offensive.
We can't stab a Bible.
So I'm going to use the MythBuster Bible, the pocket reference guide, which very sacred around here and about the same thickness as a Bible.
And somebody would be carrying that in their pocket, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I carry mine all the time.
No Bible bashing for the Busters. For test 1, they'll find out what kind of protection the pocket reference provides.
That stopped the blade. Let me try a little harder. I'm gonna do it again.
Put your back into it. There you go.
Good one.
Did it penetrate the book?
Penetrated the book. Let's see, it got up to 170, which is major world airports.
Ah, so the pocket reference saved your life.
That's one for the books. 170 pages, and you'd be safe. And for the next stab-proof suggestion, the team changed tactics.
So you're going to the arcade, got a bunch of change in your pocket. You ready?
This is modern knife with pocket full of change.
Get him, Grant!
Oh,
that doesn't look like it works very well.
The knife slid right off the coins and sliced into the flesh. But Grant's not ready to lay down his weapon just yet.
Wow.
The theory is that the metal coins should provide enough resistance to repel the blade.
Okay, you know what? That's enough. That's enough. Okay.
Coins don't seem to work very well.
No, they just keep moving out of the way.
Well, I think the problem here is that your body is soft. You've got too much give. This is gonna slide to the side, and you're just gonna get stabbed. Then coins is busted.
They've carved up the ham, but they're not done yet. Our viewers have one more suggestion in this stab-proof saga: a wad of $1 bills.
Isn't that illegal to destroy U.S. currency?
Actually, only if you intend to destroy it and take it out of circulation.
Oh, and we're not intending to take it out of circulation.
No, this is for science.
So how rich do you have to be to survive a stabbing? Carrie starts the bidding.
47, 48, 49, 50.
Now I know what it would be like to be married to you.
No, it would be like this.
Taking my money. Taking all my money. All right, $51 bills. Look, he's just flaunting it in front of everybody. They're getting jealous, and they're gonna want to stab him. Whoa.
Oh. Did it make it?
I went right
through. Okay.
All $51 bills.
We're gonna amp it up. We're doubling. We're doubling. If you had 100 $1 bills stuck in your top front pocket.
So if you were twice as rich, would you survive?
Okay, ready?
Yep. Oh! Moral of the story, carry small bills.
This time the ham has a clean bill of health. So what's the price tag for protection?
51, 52, 53. So it looks like if you have enough paper money in your front pocket and you happen to get stabbed exactly right there, you could survive.
$53 and you'd be safe. So there you have it, fans. You wanted to know what was stab-proof, and now you do.
So what's the next story?
It's called Killer Butts, and it's not about somebody's rear end.
Okay, I gotta know, what is the story?
Well, a couple of good old boys decided to get drunk and mess around with guns. Generally not a good idea. But anyway, one of them decided to put 3 cigarette butts down the muzzle of a muzzle-loading rifle and, just for fun, fire it at his buddy. It didn't turn out well.
Sounds like it's a bad case of heartburn.
It killed him.
Ooh.
Alcohol and guns may be great on their own, but together they're never a good combination. Add cigarettes to the mix, and you've got a visit to the ER just waiting to happen. The story goes that 2 alcohol-fueled buddies had a boozy idea. They loaded up a rifle with 3 cigarette butts, took aim from 7 feet, but that's when things went horribly wrong. And you, the viewers, want to know if this could really happen.
I just had the funniest daydream. Anyway, so what's the plan?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. We get a ballistics gel dummy, some cigarettes, some gunpowder, a muzzle-loading rifle, and a firing range.
You know, in this one, I'd also like to add a heart to our ballistics gel test subject. That way, if a cigarette gets all the way through the skin and into the heart, we know we've got death.
Well, it's kind of gross and smelly. I like it.
It's never stopped us before.
The plan is to pack a muzzle-loading rifle with black powder and 3 cigarette butts. Then take aim at a ballistics gel dummy from 7 feet for some heart-stopping action. So while Jamie rustles up a rifle, Adam shoots to the workshop to fire up a boozy ballistics buddy.
Like a lot of other myths where we've got something deadly that occurs, we're going to test this by making a human analog to show whether or not death has occurred. In this, I'm using a very old MythBusters torso mold, which we've used on countless myths, except I'm pouring into it a brand new ballistics medium we've got. This stuff is totally clear.
Like regular ballistics gel, this stuff has the same properties as human tissue, but has the added bonus of being crystal clear. That'll help the team see right through to the heart of the matter.
If any of these cigarette butts actually reach that heart, we will know that not only are cigarettes deadly, so are the butts.
For this viewer myth, only a shot through the heart will do.
So the pig's heart is perfectly suspended. I like its placement, I like its distance back from the front. All that has to happen now is the ballistics media has to cool down, and then we can experiment with it.
And with the miracle of television, 12 hours pass in a heartbeat.
This is gonna be great. This stuff is perfect.
With Buddy all set, they pack up the shooting party and head out to the range to meet an old friend.
Hi, Al.
How you doing, Jamie? Nice to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, welcome to South San Francisco Police Department.
To test the killer butts, Adam and Jamie are back at the familiar ground of South San Francisco Police Department gun range. And to help them get fired up is Master Sergeant Alan Normandy.
Al, we have a doozy for you today.
Well, I'd love to hear this one.
This one is a guy who decides to do an experiment with his .50 caliber black powder rifle. He loads it with the black powder charge, but instead of a bullet, he actually puts in 3 cigarette butts and shoots at a friend of his, killing his friend.
Well, I always heard tobacco will kill you, but this is the first way that I've heard that's different from smoking it. So let's see.
Jamie brings out the big guns with an exact replica of the rifle used in the myth.
Looks good to me.
It's a nice one, huh?
It's pretty.
It certainly is a beauty. And soon Buddy's going to be staring down its barrel. But first, a word from his creator.
For us to confirm a kill from the cigarette butts, we'd need to see them go through the front of the chest and into the heart. Now, we didn't put a rib cage in this because the myth isn't that the cigarette butts got through the spaces in a rib cage, it's whether or not they actually pierced his heart and killed him.
So which one of you guys is taking the shot?
I'll take the shot. I'm a better shot anyway.
Jamie will take the shot. And as they load the rifle, Adam has a revelation.
Now, this is the moment where the whole scene plays itself out, right? I look down at that, I go, oh, hell, look, they fit right in there. Hey, what say you stand right over there and I shoot you with that? Yeah! That sounds like a great idea.
You done?
Yeah.
Okay. You got that out of your system.
I did. I'm just trying to profile our shooter.
Once the rifle is locked and loaded with the 3 cigarette butts, Jamie takes aim from 7 feet, the same distance as the myth.
All right, Jamie, this is 3 cigarette butts, 80 grains of black powder from 7 feet. When you're ready.
Stand by for smoke.
That's a thud.
Indeed it was, but was it a long shot, or is Buddy heartbroken?
All right, let's see what happened here.
I see a lot of fluff. I don't see any penetration.
I don't see any subcutaneous damage here.
Buddy survived the first test, and on closer inspection, Al thinks he knows why. There's black powder all over Buddy's chest.
What the unburnt powder suggests to me is perhaps that the powder charge isn't tightly packed enough. If we pack it tighter, we get more pressure, perhaps more penetration.
So Al's theory is that the black powder didn't all burn, meaning the butts weren't traveling at maximum speed. So for test 2, they'll pack the butts in tighter for a faster exit velocity.
There we're talking. You can hear it squeak when we push it.
That's much better.
Okay, so second shot, more wadding, whenever you're ready. Ooh, that looked impressive.
Sounds impressive, but what's Buddy's prognosis this time?
Again, more of the wadding and more of the filter, but I don't think we have a lethal hit there.
Nope.
The tightwad hasn't given anything up. The butts are not lethal, and Jamie has a theory as to why.
More wadding didn't do it. What we're seeing is kind of a shotgun-like effect where these cigarette butts are spraying out, going in all directions instead of hanging together to go down one hole, which is what we need for a kill.
So far, this myth is 0 for 2. Sorry, viewers, it's not looking good for the smoking gun. Next, the team serve up another viewer myth.
So this one's being talked about by thousands of fans. There are mythical ways to open your car door locks when you don't have your keys.
All you do is you take a tennis ball, you cut a hole in it, stick the hole over the car lock, and press it as hard as you can. And somehow, the air pressure will unlock your car door.
Well, this sounds just crazy, so why don't we just go ahead and try them?
No, they're not making this up. It's an ace viral video from the internet, scoring millions of hits. And it goes something like this. A humble tennis ball serves as a lockpick. With a small hole cut into the ball, the leading lady holds the hole to the lock, squeezes the ball, and hey presto, the car unlocks. So, does this actually work? Tori gets the balls rolling.
Okay, what do you got? All right, so I looked at the video, and she had cut a hole about this size. And what they're saying is the air pressure is opening up the car door lock.
The pressure from the ball.
From the air pressure from inside the ball. So what I'm thinking is, if it's about air pressure, I cut another smaller hole in this tennis ball, and hopefully that'll give us a stronger stream of air.
That's all they need. 2 tennis balls, 2 different air pressures, and of course, the lock.
Okay, so just like in the video, electronic door lock, go for it.
Okay, so we'll do the big hole first. And she said, all you need to do is push it as hard as you can. Wow, it's not working. It looked like I'm doing it the same way.
It's love one for the tennis ball. But perhaps the ball with the smaller hole and greater air pressure will pop the lock.
You want to try the smaller hole?
Yeah, go for it.
Not exactly open sesame. That's game, set, and match for the car. But the team aren't ready to stop play just yet.
So let's take apart what exactly you think people would think this works by.
I think it's all about air pressure.
All right, well, why don't we get the shop air and just shove it into the lock and blow.
Making a complete seal around the key lock, so see if air pressure can at all open the lock.
Sounds like a plan. After all, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. With a perfect seal, they'll pump in 100 psi of shop air. And if anything is going to jimmy the lock, it's this.
All right, Grant.
Okay.
Blow us away.
So this will be the ideal case for opening the lock with air pressure. Got compressed air and a really good seal. Ready?
Despite pumping in more than 10 times the air pressure of the tennis ball, the car stays secure.
Well, I think that was pretty definitive. Sorry, viewers, but the tennis ball opening the car lock is busted.
And even ideal seal air pressure won't open the car lock.
You know, they did it in the video, though. How do you think they did that?
I think we should show the viewers how we think they did it in the video.
Cut to MythBusters Masterpiece Theater, where with some editing genius, we can show you exactly how it was done. Carrie puts the tennis ball to the lock, and hey presto, the door unlocks. But didn't they just bust tennis balls? Yes, they did. It's not the tennis ball, it's actually Tori, behind the camera with the key. Just goes to show, and this is important, you can't believe everything you see on the internet, which means that's another viewer myth busted. Adam and Jamie have been firing up a drunken, disorderly viewer myth. The fans want to know if cigarette butts fired from a muzzle-loading rifle could pierce a heart. It's not going well for the guys, but for once, there's a policeman when you need him.
Well, the cop in me has a question, and that is, are we thinking that filters are the same as cigarette butts?
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, typically you wouldn't smoke it all the way down to the end. There'd be a little bit left on it, and that adds up to a certain amount of weight, as well as you've got nicotine and tar and other crap that is collecting in the filter, right?
Right. Trouble is, that means someone's got to smoke for science. As Jamie plays the tobacco harmonica, Adam can't believe his eyes.
I can't even describe the number of things I've seen on this show that I would have never imagined seeing. Jamie sitting on a box full of chum, punching sharks in the Caribbean, scuba divers being lifted out of pools by pumps that we built ourselves. This, I never imagined I would see. He is not a smoker. He's never been a smoker. He is truly taking one for the team because this is disgusting.
Jamie's smokestack duty is over. But will using smoked butts really make a difference?
Up till now, we have been firing what we've called cigarette butts. In fact, it's just the filter torn off a cigarette. We have posited that perhaps this is what a smoker would be playing with. A full smoked butt, burnt tobacco, everything. This weighs 3 times as much as this, and thus very likely has much more deadly force in it.
The unsmoked butts are out of the picture. They've been all fluff and no fury. Maybe the smoked butts will prove to be deadly.
All right, 3 pre-smoked butts. That is nasty. So this is pre-smoked butts, 3 of them, same amount of wadding as last time at 7 feet. All right, we're ready to fire.
As the smoke clears, the guys go in for a closer look.
Oh, wait, there's definitely some real skin breakage here.
Yeah, that looks like that might have gone in about 1/4 of an inch.
There's some penetration, but it's certainly not lethal.
Yeah, he'd be bleeding, that's about it. So what's next?
Well, I'm starting to think we've replicated all the technical details, and I think they might have been lying about the distance that they shot at. I'd say we move to point-blank range.
Okay.
This is the final chance for this viewer myth. If the butts at this range don't break Buddy's heart, then it's busted.
We're down to our last option, which is just to move in point-blank range, because it's not working from 7 feet. And I can't help but think that all that energy coming out of that gun muzzle is going to do something to this if we're close enough.
Jamie moves in for the kill.
Trigger's set. Okay, everybody ready?
Ready. Look, it bleeds.
That's a shot through the heart. And Jamie's to blame.
Does it feel like you're going into the heart?
Dude, yeah, it does. I believe what we have there is what I'd call a confirmed kill.
That's lethal.
He's dead.
A few feet made all the difference for Buddy.
The dummy is dead. No ifs, ands, or, well, buts. And it also goes to prove the golden rule with guns. Don't aim a gun at anything you don't intend to destroy.
Wise words. So, what's the verdict for killer cigarette butts?
So, cigarette butts fired at point-blank range. Is he alive or dead? Dead.
Dead.
That makes the status of the myth?
Confirmed.
Yeah, totally.
Let's get out of here.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna go rinse my mouth out.
The boys have been having a blast, blowing one lucky viewer's car to bits, Hollywood style. But there's still more to come. Adam and Jamie are about to go ballistic, and I'll let Adam explain why.
So, if you haven't been paying attention, here's where we stand so far. A viewer, a kid, wrote in and asked us to blow up his parents' car. We figured, why not do a real explosion of a car, but also show how Hollywood does it? So, for the first blast, we placed a couple gallons of gasoline with a little bit of explosives in this car and shot a big fireball, but not much destruction. Now it's time to make this car go away, so we have put many hundreds of times the explosives in the same spot as the gasoline and another batch under the hood, just for good measure. I'm about to retreat to our detonation zone, and we're gonna make this car disappear.
But before plunging the plunger, the boys first get a taste of things to come, thanks to tour guide Frank Doyle.
How's it going, Frank?
Hey, okay, guys. Give you the tour here. Under the hood, we are doing the tune-up with a large bag of blasting agent there. You can see. And then moving on down here, we'll close that up. And moving on down to the interior of our vehicle here, we have a quantity midship here, and then another quantity on the back beam here. And with all of this, we would project that it's going to go away.
It's going to go away. All right, where do you want us to be for this one?
A long way away.
Okay.
Yeah, a long way away.
Well, we've got a hill about 1,000 feet distant. Is that far enough?
Hey, we're all set to go, and that should be perfect.
Terrific.
And all that really leaves is a chance to hear those MythBusters predictions.
Percentage of the car that will be remaining when we're all done with this, 5 to 10%. Strewn over about a 300-foot radius. The experience, priceless.
For this task, we've picked a relatively slow and powerful explosive, so we're more into pushing and heaving and tearing. So when we detonate this, it will cause the car to go in 360 degrees.
The words smash and smithereens spring to mind.
Well, Chris, I think it's about that time. Are you ready? How about you watch the thing through these things? Make sure, go ahead and check it out. Make sure you got a good beat on the car.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! 3, 2, 1. Hold, everybody, hold!
Hold! No more car!
No more car. Ain't that the truth?
Nice work. Thanks for the car, Chris.
Like the cement truck before it, now you see it, now you don't. Here 1 minute, gone the next. What's here anew is, oh, you get the picture. Now, remember viewers, MythBusters strongly advises that you don't try this with your parents' car. Or anyone's car, for that matter.
Wow. Armageddon out here. Look at this.
It's kind of like car confetti.
Each piece has the potential to be modern art. Come on out here, Chris. Look at that. That used to be your parents' car.
Oh, there's your problem.
Oh,
One way that you can tell that MythBusters has been in the area is to look for shrapnel in the trees. This right here is a piece of the car that we just blew up, and it kind of tells you about what we've been up to. That explosion was a real one. It had real force behind it, and there was crap flying everywhere.
Ain't that the truth? The movie magic was a blast, but it pales in comparison to what real explosives can do.
I think that while some may look at the car after our first blast and go, well, I would call that car destroyed, I think this makes my case that there is a real difference quite clearly.
Steering wheel still works, though.
Frank's left the car well and truly destroyed. And viewers, given that this is your show, this repeat is for you.
Well, Chris, Jimmy, I think our work here is done.
Yeah, well, you know, let us know when you got it all cleaned up, all right?
On this episode of MythBusters, we've got a classic collection of iconic conundrums.
I think we killed Captain Kirk.
First, Jamie and Adam answer the age-old Western question, can you light a match with a bullet?
Punch in.
Then, can you really safely dip your digits into searing hot molten metal?
Is this the first Terminator you've ever cooked?
And in a Camp Frank classic,
Got my jammies, I'm ready to go to work.
will a wet hand lead to a bedwetting?
I don't think he's involuntarily urinating yet.
Then Grant, Jesse, and Tori
Holy crap.
tackle the nauseating tall tale of the earwax candle.
Let's burn it.
And finally,
Yes. Yes.
can you blow away a Star Trek baddie with a bamboo bazooka? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
That is science.
and Jamie Heineman.
things are gonna start to get a little crazy in here.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Joining them, Carrie Byron, Grant Imahara.
It's lethal, people!
Tori Belleci. And featuring Jesse Combs.
That was awesome!
They don't just tell the myths,
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
they put them to the test.
So you're trying to tell me you're nuts, right?
No, simply that this coconut is the perfect symbol for what this episode is all about.
How so?
In a nutshell, we get a lot of myths that are too small to test. We call them mini-myths, right?
Yep.
Until now, those myths have been a tough nut to crack, but I think that we've nutted out a solution, and that is to throw as many myths into a single episode as possible, specifically this episode.
How many?
6, and I figured we'd begin with a classic, can you mail a coconut without any packaging? I thought we'd start out by putting a stamp and our address on it, see if it comes back to the shop by the end of the show.
And you know, there's one I've always wanted to try, which is, can you light a strike anywhere match with a bullet?
Well, let's get started.
It's a match made in mini-myth fan request heaven. A single testable question that can be answered in one glorious afternoon down at the gun range. And without putting Adam in harm's way, here's a quick myth illustration.
Through the magic of editing, allow me to demonstrate exactly what we hope to achieve today. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, don't move.
I won't.
That's what this story's all about. Can a bullet light a match? Well, when you get right down to it, it's all about friction.
If this myth is true, we're going to be able to light this with this while this is traveling at nearly 800 feet per second.
The question is whether that bullet is able to cause enough friction when it grazes that match to actually ignite it without blowing the head of the match off.
I'll tell you, I'm not sure it's going to work, and it's not about the precision. That I feel that we can solve. It's about the length of time this bullet will be in contact with this match and whether that length of time is long enough to set the lighting chemical conflagration in motion.
So the guys are ready.
Gun is going hot.
They have their .45 caliber gun with its large, slow-moving slug, perfect for this experiment, aimed by a laser at the tip of the match.
Firing in 3,
Surely this won't take long.
1.
Maybe it will.
Not lit, not even gone. Apparently it's too low.
Despite Adam's pleasure at the quality of the high-speed shot,
That is so pretty. It's so crisp. You can see the reflection of the match head in the bullet.
even with laser-guided precision, they completely missed. So they're reverting to a more utilitarian method of marking the bullet's trajectory.
Let's do it.
Cardboard and trial and error.
3, 2, 1.
Plenty of error.
That's crazy high. Well, you shot the head right off.
And plenty of trial.
Oh, it missed it. So close, but it's not touching it. Well, we're a few shots in and we have not gotten a match to light yet, but we're in the thick of it. So close. We knocked most of the red off the match without destroying it, so we're really, really close. We're trying to get this grazing action without destroying the match head, which we've already done.
Too high. We want to just graze the very tip of it.
I don't know, to get one to light may take another few shots, may take another few hours. What do you think?
I don't see no fire.
No lit match, but a quick look at the high speed confirms they are on target.
Oh, perfect. It's just knocking off a little bit of the white there.
Just barely touched it.
That's what's required.
Could that be myth busted? The bullet grazed the match head, but it didn't kickstart the chain of events that end in a lit match. And to find out exactly what happens when you light a match, here's Jamie.
This is how matches work. In the head of the match, you've got a fuel, which is a sulfur-based product. You've got an oxidizer, which is usually potassium chlorate. and you've got glass powder. It's all held together in a binder on the head of the match. The striker has glass powder, but it also has a small amount of red phosphorus. And when you strike the match on the striker, that glass-on-glass friction generates enough heat to convert the red phosphorus into white phosphorus, which happens to burst into flames when it's exposed to air. Now, in a strike anywhere match like this one, all those same ingredients are on the head of the match. And so you can strike it on any abrasive surface, the same reaction occurs, generates heat, generates white phosphorus, you've got a lit match.
And back on the range, despite feeling like they've got a busted myth on their hands, the guys lock and load for one last shot.
Firing in 3, 2, 1.
Nice! Punch in!
You asked for it, and we made it happen.
Well, that's fully burnt. We did it.
But keep in mind that it took us 9 tries to make this happen. We had precision equipment, and the accuracy required was down to, you know, 1/1000th of an inch or so.
That's great. That is so cool. Well, I was wrong again. This was fully able to light this when they were only in contact for a 12,000th of a second. It's mighty short, but it's mighty confirmed.
All right, quick hit myths from the fan site. What do we have?
Well, the first one comes from the movie Shrek.
Can doggies talk?
No, that's confirmed.
Can we hear the real one?
Okay, well, in the movie, Shrek uses his own earwax to make a candle.
Ugh, that's disgusting.
I'm interested. Please go on.
Okay, well, first we need to find out if earwax is flammable, and finally we need to collect lots and lots of it.
I always wondered what was in my ears.
You might want to get this checked out.
It's a classic scene from the green screen. Shrek pulls enough wax from his ears to form a fully functional, flammable candle. And to find out if this simple and nauseating concept is even possible, the team has brought in an expert.
You ready to go for it?
Oh, let's start digging.
Digging? I thought we were cleaning.
Well, that too.
First up, Dr. Lustig is digging up a sample for a proof of concept flammability test.
Holy crap. What'd you get?
We got a little bit there. Not too bad.
So, Larry?
Yeah?
Can I call you Larry?
Yes.
Why do we even have earwax?
It's a great question, and most of the time people get into problems trying to get the wax out, but you need the wax. It lubricates the ear canal. It is an anti-infective. It keeps the ear from getting infections, and it moisturizes.
With the sample secured, the team gathers ready to burn the evidence.
So what do you guys think of the earwax?
That came out of your ear?
Yeah, pretty gross, huh?
Let's burn it.
Hang on a second there, pyromaniac. Now, since this is about candles, I have some commercial candle wax to compare, as well as some beeswax.
All right, this will be good, and we'll see which one is more flammable.
So the whole point of today's experiment is to find out if human earwax is in fact flammable. But not only that, to be able to compare it visually to the types of waxes that are found in commercial-grade candles, namely paraffin or beeswax.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Should we move on to the earwax?
Ooh, it's sparking. Dude, that was in your ear. The paraffin and the beeswax burnt normally, as I would have expected. The really astounding thing is how well the human earwax burnt. And it's not like a slow burn like the paraffin or the beeswax. Sort of a more aggressive burn with a crackling. It's like, which I'm not exactly sure what that is. Maybe it's skin cells or little hairs, but very surprising that it burnt well. I think this looks good for our myth.
That means they can move on to stage 2, collecting enough earwax to make a candle.
There's no earwax.
Oh, really?
No.
But what's immediately clear is it's gonna take a while.
You have clean ear canals.
We are gonna have to call in a lot of people, huh?
We're gonna need a lot of people.
All right, everybody, come on in.
Cue the usual suspects. The MythBusters team in all its waxy,
Victory.
oily,
Wow.
hairy,
Got it.
All right then. Happy to help.
and greasy-eared glory.
Can I take these off?
Oh, yes, of course.
Otherwise, it'll be really hard.
After plumbing the eerie depths of the last few team members, family members, and passers-by, Dr. Lustig is finished, and the earwax candle making can begin.
Next up is an actual prank. Let me start with a question. Have you ever gone to a sleepaway camp?
I was a camp counselor for years.
Okay, did you ever play pranks on the kids in your charge?
Of course. In fact, that was a job requirement.
Ever take a sleeping person's hand and dip it in a bowl of warm water to see if they'd wet themselves?
Actually, no, but I have always wondered about that one.
You're not gonna have to wonder much longer because we're gonna put it to the test.
Well, all right then.
Aside from our sleeping human guinea pigs, the only piece of equipment the team requires for this test is this moisture-activated voice alarm.
So how is it that these shiny strips of metal are able to detect liquid? Well, when water crosses over two of these strips, it'll allow a minute amount of electrical current to pass through it, and this alarm right here is sensitive enough to detect that and start yelling at me.
Oh my God, what the hell are you doing?
When it does.
Next, the guys need a place to sleep.
Got my jammies. I'm ready to go to work.
And here at the California Sleep Lab, in this bedroom with a view, they've got state-of-the-art monitoring equipment.
This looks comfy. A lovely plastic sheet.
This is a camp prank, a staple of camp pranks the world over for generations, I swear. And it is simply that if you take a sleeping person's hand and place it in a bowl of warm water, that person will involuntarily wet themselves in their bed.
Oh my God, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Now, we researched the heck out of this, and we got tons of anecdotal evidence, but nobody seems to have studied it, and that's where we come in.
All right, so we're gonna start your hookup now?
Okay.
We have come to the California Center for Sleep Disorders, and Jamie and I are each going to take turns being the test subject. One of us will fall asleep in this bed, and when we reach the correct phase of sleep, the other one will sneak in with a bowl of water and see if this is in fact true.
Do I think this is going to work? Well, in my case, not so much. As it happens, I'm a very light sleeper, and my suspicion is that if somebody comes in the middle of the night and tries to mess with my hand, the other one's going to hit him square in the face.
And that is surely the key stumbling block for this myth.
Is he sucking his thumb?
Unless they are absolutely out for the count, getting the sleeper's hand into the water without waking them up will be tough. But that's where clinical director Michael Salemi comes in.
His eyes are closed, but he's definitely not asleep.
With all the electrodes on Jamie's head, what are we looking at there?
These are his eyes right here, and we're looking at eye movements, and this is his EEG. So we're looking at his brainwave patterns here to see if there's any changes that would indicate that he's actually fallen asleep.
Basically, by monitoring the brain's electrical activity, we can tell how deep is Jamie's sleep. Stages 1 and 2 are light transitional stages that won't be ideal for this test. Stage 3, also called slow wave sleep, is the goal. Here, brain activity is significantly reduced and the sleeper is less easily woken. But Jamie's playing hard to get.
He's not sleeping. He's waiting.
And Adam, geared up with night vision goggles, loses patience and goes in.
Oh, you're totally awake. You've had like 2 hours, man.
Sorry. Nice get up.
Thank you. I think your time is up. I think it's my turn.
Okay. Well, I don't mean to be a party pooper, but no sleep, no results.
So, I was right about Jamie not sleeping. He was waiting, and he waited us out. He waited so long we had to throw him out as a test subject. I've always wanted the cyber hair extensions, and now it's my turn.
As soon as Adam's down, he's out. And finally, things are looking up. Or are they?
Although Adam dropped asleep really quickly, he may not be a very good candidate for this either because Adam has sleep apnea, which means that he's struggling for air from time to time and it's waking him up. So he may not be able to get down into that deep sleep that we need him to be at to do this trick.
But before the team runs out of patience, Adam finally descends into stage 3 sleep. However, there's another complication.
Both of his hands are under his head, so I don't know what to do other than try it. If he doesn't wake up, maybe we'll get what we need.
With Adam twisted awkwardly, Jamie manages to get Adam's hand over the bowl. But the best he can do is gently pour water over the hand until our camp prank victim awakes.
All right then. So Adam, notice that your hand is wet. Is there anything else that's wet?
Nope. It's all dry.
Darn it. If this technique was going to work, it should have worked on Adam, because everything that I've read says that the sound of water running, the sensation of water on the hand should precipitate this bedwetting. And I got both of those things very cleanly with Adam, and he didn't wet his bed.
Well, it's definitely not looking very good for this myth at this point.
It's Mini Myth Mayhem, and the Mythbusters want to know if, just like Shrek, you can make a candle out of earwax.
Well, I mean, it's obvious we don't have enough earwax to melt it down into a big vat and dip the wick in like you would normally make candles.
So why don't we try and melt that, lay it out, and roll it around a wick, kind of like they do with those beeswax type of candles?
Yeah, it might work.
I'm not really sure how this is going to work as a candle. Yeah, it's flammable, but it's not quite the same as regular wax.
All right, well, you ready to melt?
Yes.
The bigger question for me is actually getting it into candle form.
They look more like boogers than earwax, don't they?
Yeah.
Those with sensitive,
Are you gonna throw up?
not so steely stomachs might want to avert your eyes around about now.
Why are we making this candle? I almost threw up.
Well, maybe if you just keep breathing it, you get used to it.
Nah, probably not. All right, it looks pretty soft. Do you want to like smash out a big...
That sucked.
It smells really bad.
You know, on this show, I've seen a lot of disgusting things. Buckets of frothy pig blood, intestines of various animals. I've sewn together a pig tongue with tubes inside of it. But this tops them all. This earwax candle is the most disgusting thing I've ever done on this show. And that includes vomiting all over the place. All right, here's your wick.
You know what? Making the candle was a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. Cool, it's like a little earwax taco. It's not like it's a pre-packaged material that you pull out and form into a shape of a candle. I mean, this is earwax you're talking about.
It's actually working, kind of.
There's hair in there, there's skin cells, and to get it melted down into the shape of a candle was hard enough. Look at that! We got a candle.
Well, almost. The final proof is in the lighting.
Okay, so for our side-by-side comparison, we have...
Oh, you're gonna stick it on that
regular
cupcake?
birthday candle.
Careful, it doesn't fall apart. Oh.
With the earwax all together and the wick in it, personally, I don't think it's gonna melt like a normal candle because when we tested it, it sparkled.
Go. Okay.
Okay.
So it's either gonna be like 4th of July or it's gonna go completely out.
It's lit like a candle, but let's see if it lasts.
Look how it's bubbling up right around, oh, and it's going down.
Yep, it's burning up just like in our little sample test. It burns up, and then that's it. It's done.
I don't think it's gonna last.
Nope.
Look, it's going out, it's going out. Okay, 23 seconds.
Not much of a candle at all.
Nope. And that's down to the composition of candle wax as opposed to earwax. The long chain hydrocarbons in paraffin or beeswax melt and in liquid form get pulled up the wick where they burn in a slow, controlled fashion. Earwax, full of dead skin cells, hair, fatty acids, and cholesterol, may be flammable, but critically, it doesn't melt or burn consistently.
All right, looks like this one's busted.
Busted.
Totally busted.
Happy birthday!
So let's recap. I just flat out couldn't get to sleep.
Oh, you're totally awake.
had him. We got to sleep. We got him to where he needed to be. We got his hand in the bowl, but the best I could do was dribble water over it. We did not get full immersion.
Nope. It's all dry.
So we've got one last chance, and for that we're gonna induct Matt, our runner, and we'll see whether we can get him to wet his bed.
Yeah, let's make Mama proud.
All right, if you actually do wet yourself, this is what you'll hear.
Oh my God, what the hell are you doing?
All right. Sweet dreams.
And mere minutes after lights out, sweet dreams it is.
There we go. They're starting to spread out.
All right, let's get a bucket of water ready. Let this be a lesson to you kids, lest you think working for MythBusters is all fun and games. Even the runners are not above getting humiliated on national television. This is perfect. Matt's hand is in the bowl. It's the ideal illustration of this myth. I don't hear the alarm, so I don't think he's involuntarily urinating yet.
Not yet, but after 5 minutes of hand and wrist immersion, this happens.
Oh my God, what the hell are you doing? Oh my God.
With the alarm going nuts and bedlam in the bedroom, it's not until the lights are switched on that the offending puddle can be examined.
Dude, did you think you peed yourself?
I don't think I did.
Roll over, let's see what's going on there. Looks like it could be a spill.
Yeah, it's not from the source, unfortunately.
How did it get that separate puddle over there?
If Matt says it's not from the source, I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah, it looks like it is just on the side. I don't see wet pants overall. Well, if that is the case, then it didn't work, because his hand was full on in that water for like, what was it, 5 minutes or better?
Did you even feel it?
No.
That's awesome. I really thought that we'd hit pay dirt with the Smith when I heard this start screaming, but no. It's late in the middle of the night, and after Matt's hand was in that bowl for 5 minutes, some of the water sloshed out and caused our alarm to go off. With all of this, I can't see that we can call this myth anything but busted.
I know we're going to get some grief for this one, but hey, we gave this myth a couple of good, honest tries, and we didn't get diddly as far as bedwetting goes.
Oh my God, what the hell are you doing?
It might work for some people, but it just isn't a surefire thing.
Well, that's another in a long line of inexplicably strange situations that we're totally responsible for.
That's gross.
It's not quite a mini myth, but this Trekkie tall tale is too good to resist.
I tell you what, I cannot believe how popular this next myth is.
Yeah, fans have been requesting it for years, and when I announced that we were doing this on the internet, the reaction was massive.
You're talking about the Gorn episode of Star Trek.
This is the episode of the classic Star Trek series where Captain Kirk battles a reptilian creature called the Gorn.
Yeah, and right when you think Captain Kirk is about to get defeated, he devises a weapon using nothing but the things he finds on this alien planet.
Doesn't he make his own gunpowder as well?
Heck yeah, he's Captain Kirk.
Let's get this going. Enterprise, 3 to beam up.
You getting reception?
Yeah, mine's real.
In a memorable Star Trek moment, a marooned Captain Kirk channels MacGyver and makes a bamboo bazooka.
Yes, yes.
What? What is it, Spock?
An invention, yeoman.
After scavenging the 3 basic ingredients of gunpowder and diamonds for ammunition,
they would make formidable projectiles.
Oh, here comes the Gorn.
Kirk goes to work mixing his materials and constructing the cannon.
Can he do it?
If he has the time, yeoman. If he has the time.
Of course he has the time. He's Kirk. But what about reality? Can you really make your own gunpowder, and can you really make a bazooka out of bamboo?
Now, gunpowder is composed of 3 things: potassium nitrate, charcoal, and sulfur. Now, on their own, each of these 3 things is non-explosive. But the question is whether you can combine them together without further refinement to create gunpowder capable of firing the projectile out of a cannon.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make Captain Kirk black powder. We're gonna take these elements, mix them up just like he does in the TV clip, and compare it to regular black powder.
Now, the next big question of this myth is whether or not we can build a cannon out of bamboo that will withstand the explosion of gunpowder. So I'm gonna have a stab at this while I leave the boys to their pyrotechnics.
And our pair of pyromaniacs begin Pyrotechnics 101 with the assumption that Kirk knew the correct ratio of the 3 key ingredients.
Oh crap, the Gorn's coming.
Which, of course, we're not telling you. And also, like their hero...
Okay, dude, Kirk or Picard?
Are you kidding? Kirk.
They're not using any tools to grind and mix the black powder. Just some rocks from the floor of the set.
Mr. Spock or Lieutenant Commander Data? Spock.
This is far from the daily grind. By testing this myth, Grant and Tori are living out their fanboy dreams.
Did Han shoot first?
Yes, he did. One episode has been etched in my mind. I think it's because I was scared to death by the Gorn.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
Hey, what's going on? Nothing, just hanging out.
Nothing?
I'm gonna go check my email.
And the fact that we can come back now and test whether or not you can build a bazooka out of bamboo and raw elements to make black powder is exciting to me.
So we've been at this for a good 15 minutes or so.
It's starting to look like black powder.
No longer than Kirk might have had while down on the planet. And now it's time to test our black powder formulas. First, what we're gonna do is let off some real black powder just to see what it's supposed to look like. Good. Then, we're each gonna try our own recipes and see what we got.
So that's what the guys are aiming for. That's the kind of reaction Kirk achieved by hand mixing his gunpowder. And we're about to find out if that's possible.
Hey.
Hey.
You're kind of doing something.
It's a little something something.
Yeah. It's kind of burning like, it's like those snakes that you get at 4th of July.
So no, we didn't get the big poof like a black powder on our first test, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised because I fully expected nothing to happen, no ignition.
Wow, look at that.
Better. But we did get ignition, and it smelled like black powder, and furthermore, we got these sparks. Hey! That actually means that we're on the right track. I think it's just a matter of time till we find the right ratio.
While our budding kitchen chemists mix things up with a few new recipes, Jesse cooks up a bamboo cannon.
So Captain Kirk was put on this barren wasteland. He was very lucky to find a broken off piece of bamboo, one that is approximately the size that we've chosen here, which is about a 6-inch inside diameter. Well, the problem that we're having here is that his piece of bamboo didn't have these inner walls where it blocks off all of these sections. So what I have to do is get rid of those inner walls.
And it's while removing those interior walls that Jessie, who unlike the boys is not blinded by a love of the source material, reveals her doubts.
Being the fact that I'm a metal fabricator, I haven't worked with much bamboo in the past. Although when I was cutting it, it seems like it's way too soft of a material to actually withstand an explosion. If there is an explosion, which I'm not very optimistic about. So I don't think it's gonna work. Peace out, Gorn.
Back in the kitchen, the heat is on to find the perfect hand-mixed black powder formula.
Now on this one, I added more charcoal and more sulfur.
After working their way through over 30 different formulations, the guys decide they found the best possible combination that can be made by hand.
Hey, you know what? It's not too bad. I mean, I don't know if you'd be able to make it in 30 minutes during the heat of the battle, but I mean, so far it's looking good.
With the bazooka and black powder ready to blow, they need just one more mythical ingredient.
Now to test this myth, we're gonna need a Gorn. Unfortunately, that would require intergalactic space travel, so we've done the next best thing. Drawn them on a piece of paper. I'll transfer this to a piece of foam, cut that out, and we'll use that to determine how successful our cannon is.
Yes, Kirk. I'm ready for battle.
You look like you're thinking of something pretty good.
I am. There's a myth going around that you can stick your hand into molten lead and not get hurt.
This isn't some kind of elaborate prank, is it? To get me to try something super dangerous and then for you to laugh at my pain?
Well, that's an intriguing idea, but no, this is a real myth, and in fact, I'm a little nervous about it.
Well, then perhaps we should start with something
other than our hands?
I think that's a good idea.
Molten metal. Pretty nasty stuff. Just look at these shots of a foundry. It would seem that if you touched any of that stuff with your hands, you'd be horribly, horribly burned. But maybe not so. See, there's a myth going around that if you take pure lead and you melt it, that you can dip your hand in it and not be burnt or horribly injured. I know. The trick is supposed to be that you wet your hand before doing it, and it exploits what's known as the Leidenfrost effect.
The Leidenfrost effect? Well, seeing as it's the scientific basis for the myth, Adam, with his hot steel ball and fish tank, is on demonstration duty.
Wow, look at that.
You can see a clear skin of, I guess it's steam around the whole thing. What you're seeing in this demonstration is known as the Leidenfrost effect.
It's like an atmosphere.
It's interesting because the steam that's created when you expose a hot surface to water is actually insulating that surface. And it makes sense because steam, being a gas, conducts heat less rapidly than the water itself does.
And that's the key. When cool water is exposed to an extremely hot surface, a layer of water vapor, which is a relatively poor heat conductor, provides a thin protective barrier. So it's time to get cooking for this hair-raising stunt.
Is this me?
With the one and only ingredient, lead.
Is this the first Terminator you've ever cooked?
No, I've done this a lot before, actually. Every time I get a robot that's misbehaving.
The problem is you gotta keep them cooking, otherwise they reformulate and try and kill you. It's about 725 degrees.
Well, that's about 100 degrees more than melting temperature. I think that's about right.
Let's do it.
Cue the stand-in digits.
This meat is raw, and if it actually gets too hot, it's going to change color because it's cooking.
If these finger-sized sausages sizzle, then Adam and Jamie won't be going anywhere near the hot pot.
Oh, no, that seems to be a problem, doesn't it?
A very slight change of color.
But also, lead stuck to, I wouldn't want that to happen to my finger.
No.
And in a discouraging sign for the myth, a repeat performance yields the same result.
Now that lead sticking to it seems to be a real problem to me.
Yeah, because that'd create a burn in that area.
Create a very bad burn.
While not burnt by the standards of any backyard barbecue, the sausage is being cooked. But they're not giving up yet.
Surprisingly, according to what we understand about this effect, we need to raise the temperature, and it's recommended to bring it up to 200 degrees higher than the lead's melting point. If we don't reach that, the lead actually starts to stick to our surrogate finger here, and we saw that that sticking caused it to cook a little bit, and that's bad.
A hair's breadth over 800.
So, in order to avoid burning their stand-in digits, they're going to raise the temperature and try again.
Well, that worked pretty well.
Yeah, where's Tori?
Gosh dang it. This is the 4th time this week.
We need to get a new service provider.
Right?
Our intrepid trio of Trekkies are tackling the tall tale of the Gorn cannon. They want to know, can you hand mix black powder? Can you really build a bazooka out of bamboo? And can the cannon fire with enough force to take down the Gorn?
We're working with 3 different elements here, so the chances of everything working together, I'm thinking slim to none. The gunpowder looks promising. The bamboo, I think, is going to completely fail. And then the Gorn actually being hit by diamonds, not so much.
Hey, nice vine you got there.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing how it grows in 3 cords here on this planet. In the episode, Captain Kirk takes the vine and wraps it around the bamboo bazooka at the combustion chamber. I guess that's to strengthen it or something. All right, I think that's tight enough.
All right, now it's time for the secret sauce. Our own formulation of black powder. After 33 formulations, this is the most potent. And just to remind you, this is using only the chemicals that Kirk had on the planet, which are potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal.
Quick, give me the black powder.
Kirk,
The Gorn's
wait
attacking.
for me.
I think I found Gorn's weakness. Oh, hit him in the nuts with the bamboo bazooka. Yes, Captain Kirk wins again.
And speaking of James Tiberius Kirk, here he is.
All right, buddy, it's time.
Or at least his stunt double.
You know why he's wearing the red shirt, don't you?
Why?
Every Star Trek fan knows if you've been down to a planet in a red shirt, you're not coming back. Perfect.
Look up. Keep your eye on the target.
That's right. Follow the Gorn.
We are about to test our bamboo bazooka. Is it gonna be strong enough to withstand an explosion from our homemade black powder?
Beforehand, I measured out an amount, 2 handfuls, which is what Kirk put in, and that's what this cup is.
And is that explosion gonna be strong enough to launch our projectiles into the Gorn to take him down?
Okay.
Load it up with the diamonds. Or is this whole thing just gonna explode into splinters?
I will be highly impressed if this actually works.
We are about to find out. You're probably gonna wanna stick around for this one. All right, this is Gorn Cannon, just like in the episode. Here we go. Kiss your butt goodbye, Gorn!
It's quite endearing, really. Grant and Tori's beaming faces full of anticipation, childhood dreams about to be realized.
That was interesting.
But unfortunately, all that hope has gone up in smoke.
I was hoping for like a je ne vois.
This is so underwhelming.
I'm sorry, guys.
While Jessie does her best to console the guys, let's take a closer look. It appears the homemade black powder doesn't burn fast or aggressively enough. The energy is simply dissipating rather than exploding.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. All our cannon did was smoke profusely. But I don't think necessarily that it was the gunpowder. Maybe we lost containment, I don't know. All I know is that people have been making gunpowder this way for centuries with the exact same recipe.
Careful, it might still be hot.
I gotta say, it's not looking very good for the myth at this point.
Yeah, but the black powder worked in the shop, and there's so much of it in here, maybe we just haven't contained it properly enough. Maybe we should try this in the real cannon and see if it even works.
I agree.
All right.
So our Trekkie trio isn't giving up yet. To confirm it's Kirk's gunpowder recipe that's failing and not the bamboo cannon, the team is switching in some hardware that they know works.
So, we're gonna give it another shot, put it in a proper cannon, and see how well that does. Look at him. He's laughing at us.
Here's where we stand so far. Behind me is a bucket of molten lead, into which we have already stuck a couple of breakfast sausages and watched them get lead stuck to them and watched them get burnt. We're not ready to put our hands in there yet, but we hear that if we get the lead 200 degrees over its melting point, great. That's 850, let's try it. It'll stop sticking. Here's that finger, bucket of water, whoop, shake it off, into the lead. And it looks pretty much perfect, and it's still cold.
Yeah.
So 850 degrees Fahrenheit is the magic number. The sausage comes through unscathed, which leaves just one question.
I'm game. You game?
I picture people yelling at their TV, "Go on, do it! You, go on, try it! Ah!" Aren't you? Yeah. All right. We're about to go for it. We're about to dip our hands into molten metal, and we've got plenty of evidence saying that this is safe. It's clear from our experimentation that the conditions to do it safely are actually pretty precise. I think we've got them. And I think it's gonna be okay.
And this little piggy burned clean off.
Despite the sausage-based evidence, clearly a sentence never before used, there is still a healthy amount of trepidation. Remember, the lead is at around 450 degrees Celsius, which puts this stunt firmly in the don't try at home category.
Nothing. Now, I just went about that deep.
Yeah, you wanna go a little deeper?
My little finger is just fine. Of course, I only went in about that deep. I was being a little careful. I didn't feel a thing. It felt kind of warm and pleasant, actually.
Go for it.
And a repeat performance with an index finger yields the same result.
Now that one, it went in pretty good, and no problem.
No problem?
No problem.
I guess it's my turn.
Adam has had the luxury of using Jamie as a human guinea pig, so naturally, he has to up the ante. He's going for 4 fingers.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 1 human hand in molten metal. Oh, that's freaky. You can feel the water boiling against your fingers. You can feel that right there.
And that pretty much puts this lead mini-myth to bed.
So Jamie and I just successfully dipped our hands into a pot of molten metal. No lie. The Leiden Frost effect is no myth. It protected us. There we go. Oh, I still don't want to do it. Oh, okay, here we go. Nice. Normally, we're replicating seemingly safe circumstances under which people get maimed or killed. Here, we're replicating a clearly dangerous situation in which people are completely unharmed. And I think we find this more frightening than the other kind. Well, I'm unharmed. You?
I'm fine.
That's all we needed. That's a myth confirmed.
Yep.
We just tested our Gorn cannon. It was so underwhelming. We were left with nothing but a big smokestack. I mean, I guess if you wanted to smoke the Gorn to death, you might have a chance, but as far as a cannon going off, there was nothing close to it. But that doesn't mean we're gonna give up yet. We have a few more tests before we call this one busted. So I got the cannon out. This way we could test our homemade black powder to see whether or not it's even working. We've used this cannon a lot. We know it works. I mean, we used it on prison escape. We used it on duct tape cannon. And we used it on cheese cannon. So we know the cannon works. What we're trying to find out is, does our homemade gunpowder work?
So this test is focusing on the homemade black powder.
Cannonball going in.
And once again, the team used the same amount as Captain Kirk.
You know, if 2 handfuls of gunpowder don't set this cannonball out,
Let's try that again from a safe distance.
You know, if 2 handfuls of homemade gunpowder doesn't launch this ball out, we might have to switch to normal gunpowder.
All right, fuse is going in.
Look at that, the cannonball actually ended up behind the cannon.
Yep, and it clearly demonstrates that although you can hand mix the raw ingredients of black powder to get an energetic product, you won't get an explosive result without more accurate refinement and measurement techniques.
Look, even as a hardcore Star Trek fan, I think I'm gonna have to concede that black powder made in 2 hours on the surface of a planet with no tools just doesn't cut it.
All right, but we still have to test this bamboo cannon. So I say let's pretend like he was able to make commercial grade black powder. Let's take the same amount, load up our cannon, and see what happens. This is getting good now.
Easy, don't go too hard.
But even in this impossible best case scenario, Tori has his doubts the bamboo cannon can.
Now, I think the weakest link in our bamboo bazooka is the fact that we're using the natural membrane of the bamboo as the backing of our cannon. I mean, that is going to be taking the full force of the black powder. I just don't think it's strong enough to withstand that force. Run! Run! I think Captain Kirk would have been better off throwing the bamboo bazooka at the Gorn and let it blow up in his face. Like a bomb as opposed to a bazooka. I think we killed Captain Kirk, not the Gorn.
Yeah, the Gorn is still standing.
Totally blew out the back of the cannon.
How cool was that? But look, it's obvious the bamboo was not strong enough to withstand the explosion of the black powder.
Right out the back, cracked it all the way up.
Yeah, but it looks like it did in the episode.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Captain Kirk. He does not look like he did in the episode. This guy probably would have died.
And the Gorn escaped without a scratch. Or did he?
Looks pretty healthy from this angle.
Yeah, he's still standing. But wait a minute, look at that. That looks like a hit.
No.
Yeah, look at this.
Dude, it's everywhere, yeah.
We actually got crystals to fly back. Yeah! You know what? I mean, this one's still looking busted because it's like the person shooting the cannon is gonna sustain way more damage than the person getting shot at.
Well, how can we make it better, though?
Well, You could always replicate the results.
All right, but so far as this goes, this one's busted.
Totally busted.
All right.
Okay, so the mythical Gorn cannon is busted, in more ways than one. But is there any way Kirk could have made a cannon out of bamboo?
Yes, Kirk. I will be merciful and quick.
The weak link was the membrane in the bamboo itself. So what we've done is we've taken 3/4 inch plywood, plugged it, we put a steel rod across, and then we're gonna put some polyurethane sealer in there to help fill all those cracks. And hopefully the explosion is gonna go out the front end of the cannon and shoot all those crystals at the Gorn the way we want it to.
You know what? I don't care. Captain Kirk wasn't able to make homemade black powder on the planet. I don't care if this myth is busted. We're reenacting the Gorn episode, and you know what? I'm happy. I probably should get out of here now.
Hey, that was good. I think we took out both the Gorn and Captain Kirk.
Finally, the team gets its Gorn and hits the bullseye.
Shot to the head, the chest, the stomach.
Into the groin.
But despite this brief moment of satisfaction and Kirk's cult hero status, there really was only one result for this myth.
As sad as I am to say, since this is my favorite episode of Star Trek, this one is busted. I mean, you cannot make homemade black powder strong enough to launch the projectiles. And even if you could, the bamboo would not be strong enough to contain the explosion. I mean, giving it the best possible chances using the immersion-grade black powder and reinforcing the bamboo. Our bamboo bazooka still exploded, killing Captain Kirk. I mean, any way you look at it, this is a bad idea. I mean, you're better off giving it to the Gorn and let him shoot you. You guys want to walk? I don't want to walk. Scotty, beam us out of here. You know what, you might want to use yours, Grant. I'm not getting a signal.
Enterprise, 4 to beam up.
Has anyone seen Jamie?
Here I am. Got the mail. Bill. Coconut.
Coconut? Dude, our coconut came back. Do you know what this means?
What?
This means myth confirmed.
It also means we're gonna get a lot of coconuts in the mail.
Oh, you're right. Nuts.
On this episode of MythBusters, Adam and Jamie are all smiles as they tackle a myth that's massive.
That's just about the funniest thing I've ever seen.
They're getting ready to unleash the biggest boom in MythBusters history.
Now he's off the ground.
Did a World War II airman survive a fall from 20,000 feet because an explosion on the ground cushioned his landing?
Jamie wants big boom.
Then Carrie, Grant, and Tori turn the spotlight on the lights on or off myth as they find out how to leave you with a lighter electricity bill.
Little sugar in the coffee this morning?
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage.
Ants are all over my head, man.
And Jamie Heineman.
Gets me all worked up just looking at it.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That was heavy.
Joining them, Grant Imahara.
Go get him, boy.
Tori Belleci.
Somebody order some exploding pants.
And Carrie Byron.
Oh, God.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. When it comes to explosions, the MythBusters are king. They've turned toilets torpedo. Tried a spot of painting and detonating. And of course, they blew a cement truck to Kingdom Come. But that's all in the past, because now Adam and Jamie are about to plan the biggest explosion in MythBusters history. There's nothing like starting with a bang.
Well, Calaveras County says it's okay. The quarry says it's okay. The police department and the bomb squad says it's okay. Can we blow this thing up?
No, we have to tell a whole story first, like always. And this one begins with a fan who wrote us about a story they've read on a calendar hanging in their house. A World War II gunner fell from a plane without a parachute, fell 22,000 feet into the glass roof of a French train station at the very moment a bomb went off in that train station, cushioning his fall and allowed him to survive.
It's a tall tale from World War II. Cruising at 22,000 feet, an unfortunate airman fell out of the gun turret of his plane. Without a parachute, the prospect of a soft landing looked awfully hard. But as he neared the ground, a 1,000-pound bomb blew up in a train station beneath him and sent out a shockwave that actually cushioned his fall. It's an explosive story that for Adam and Jamie begins with a trip to an aviation museum.
Well, the guy is supposed to have fallen out of a B-17 bomber, and here at the Castle Air Museum, they've got one for us to look at. It seems like a fine place to start. Now, we've got a myth that involves one of these planes. It involves a turret gunner who got shot out of the plane at 22,000 feet without a chute and survived because he hit the roof of a train station at the very moment a bomb was going off in that train station, and the shockwave of the bomb cushioned his fall and allowed him to live. Have you heard that?
I have heard instances, or one instance, where a gunner fell into a snowbank, which was about, I think, 19 or 20,000 feet, and came out of it with a broken limb. But I have not heard this story.
Although Joe hasn't heard of our myth, there's one part of it that's definitely true. B-17 ball gunners did not wear parachutes, and the reason is obvious.
You can see how confining that is.
So that's why they don't wear parachutes.
Exactly.
Dude, that is messed up.
Right, and hanging under this aircraft at several thousand feet.
You're target practice.
Basically.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, indeed. Without a parachute, the airman in the myth sure would have plummeted. But could a 1,000-pound explosion in a French train station really have saved him? It's time to get a MythBuster. But back at the shop, Adam's already having doubts.
I am starting to get worried about this one. 22,000-foot fall is shaping up to be like the biggest myth we have ever done.
Yeah, we really, really need to be prepared for this.
So we need your guys' help. We want to focus on the large-scale experiment, and we want you guys to do the bench tests for us, the small-scale experiments.
Aye, aye, Captain. What you need?
Well, I want you to start with car airbags. It seems to me the best potential analog test bed. They're easy to get, easy to set off, and they might really be able to demonstrate that an explosion can cause deceleration in something heading towards it.
It's going to be fun.
So to blast off with this myth, Carrie and Tori are going to find out if a falling lead weight can be slowed down by an explosive charge from a car airbag.
I've set up a drop rig. Basically, it's just a quick release and a pull string. And here I have a lead weight with my G-Shock stickers on it that go up to 100 Gs. And I'm going to do a quick test just to see how violent a fall this is going to be. This is how it works. We have a little glass tube inside here, and inside that is another little glass tube filled with a red dye. This is basically calibrated so that once the shock watch sticker reaches a certain deceleration, the tube inside will break and turn the outside tube red. So if you get a red mark, then you know that it's reached, 100 Gs, 50 Gs, 75 Gs.
That's the theory, but before using any explosives, Carrie must first calibrate the shock watches, and a simple drop test should do just that.
3, 2, 1. Let's see what we got.
So it looks like it broke 2 of them.
Only 2?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's between 75 and 100 Gs.
So without the bang, both the 50 and 75 G watches triggered. That means that now the question is, will an airbag explosive decelerate the ball so much that these shock stickers stay intact?
So now that I've got my ball all redressed with new shock watch stickers, the next step is to drop the lead weight directly onto just the pyrotechnic, no enclosure. We want to see what kind of deceleration you can get from just the blast.
To find out, Tori first removes the airbag bag from the pyrotechnic charge.
Hey, there's a penny in here.
What?
I guess they put that in there for good luck.
And once that's done, our dynamic duo put it inside a miniature house to represent the train station of the myth.
We've taken the pyrotechnic out of the airbag rig. We've placed it inside of this little Benjamin Franklin house, and hopefully Tori's timing will be impeccable. He will set off the pyrotechnic at the exact same time that we pull the string, and everything will work out beautifully, and the whole myth will be proof of concept right here.
You know there'll be trouble when it all sounds so easy.
How are we gonna time this?
I'm just gonna watch the ball fall, and at the point where I think I should ignite the airbag, that's when I'm gonna do it. I mean, for this to even remotely work, it's all about the timing, so that's why I'm doing it by eye. It's very crucial that I do it by eye.
With a plan as concrete as that, what could possibly go wrong?
Ready?
In 3, 2,
Oh, what the heck is that?
and now it's too sensitive.
You went 3 and then fold.
No, it
Saboteur.
It seems like Carrie has dropped the ball. Let's try that again.
In 3, 2, 1.
That was a delayed reaction there.
But this time, it was Tori who balls things up.
In 3, 2, 1.
Take 3 doesn't go much better.
In 3, 2, 1. Oh, it might be a dud, huh?
And after the 4th dropout, it's looking like the team need a plan B. In 22,000-foot fall, the MythBusters are testing whether a turret gunner who plummeted from his plane without a parachute was really saved by a massive explosion on the ground that cushioned his fall. To put this to the test, Carrie and Tori have been trying to see if a small explosive can decelerate a falling lead ball. But it's not exactly gone to plan. And in the meantime, Adam and Jamie need to get on with the big-scale plans.
Well, the small-scale experiment is underway. Next, we have to tackle the big scale.
Yeah, we've got a lot ahead of us. We've got to do the train station, the bomb. We've got to replicate our airman and his 22,000-foot fall.
Where do you want to start?
There's such a shopping list for this myth that the boys don't know where to begin. They need a plane to bail out of, an airman to plummet without a parachute, a train station for him to fall into, and a huge bomb to blow up. Let's start with the station.
Our airman fell into a French train station with a glass roof. And those aren't that common in California, so we have to build our own. The goal is to use a bunch of steel and 2-foot by 2-foot panes of glass. And I've designed something that's got some arches. It feels kind of like the right thing. And it should give us a good idea of whether the explosion or the glass or maybe even the steel structure actually broke his fall.
Adam may have designed it, but it's Jamie and Jess that get to build it. And with welding skills like this, it's not long before the station frame begins to look très magnifique.
Those things seem about right, so I think we're good to lock it down.
Which gives Adam an excuse to move on to myth shopping list number 2, the bomb.
The original bomb that the myth involves is a 1,000-pound bomb whose casing weighs on the order of several hundred pounds. That's just the casing alone without the explosives. So we wanted a metal casing that was as heavy as possible, and this actually fits the bill perfectly for us. This started out as the Sharammer for the Shark Special. Then morphed into the XMB for exploding hair cream.
Dude, that was a hell of a result.
Wow.
Became the steam cannon. Yeah! And now its final task will be as a bomb casing for us for 22,000-foot fall.
This steel tube has had a series of cameo appearances on MythBusters, but not for much longer. As Adam converts it into a casing for a 1,000-pound bomb, its days are numbered.
So we'll need 6 pieces of that.
With the casing and the train station running on time, now the boys just need a B-17 bomber and an airman. But that's not going to be so easy.
So, in terms of dropping our airmen, we can't drop them from 22,000 feet because, well, number one, we can't get any aircraft to fly over an explosion no matter how high they are, and we can't aim from that height and make them hit such a tiny target.
Well, why don't we use balloons? I mean, we've lifted you with a balloon before.
Perfect. I'll tell you what, all we need is to get him up to 120 miles an hour. That's a human's terminal velocity. We know that from umpteen myths we've done about people falling.
So I'll figure out exactly how high he has to fall from in order to reach 120 miles per hour. And we'll just fly the balloons that high.
The key to this myth is terminal velocity, the maximum speed at which an object can fall. It's reached when gravity is matched by the force of wind resistance, which for humans works out at around 120 miles an hour. So all Adam has to do is work out the minimum drop height required to reach that magic number.
Basically, he's got to fall for 5.5 seconds to reach 120 miles per hour. And that puts him at 487 feet in the air. That's totally doable.
All things considered, it's the cheapest, it's the most practical way to go, and I can't see anything better.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
All right.
So that's the plan. Instead of a B-17 bomber at 22,000 feet, they'll drop Buster from some weather balloons at 500 feet. Just enough for him to reach terminal velocity as he lands in the exploding train station. And when it comes to working with weather balloons, Adam is the expert bar none. After all, in only the 3rd episode of MythBusters, it was our very own Mr. Savage who sailed to new heights in a lawn chair, complete with beer in hand.
Cheers. Now these are meant to normally be filled to between 6 and 8 feet, but they have a bursting diameter of 23 feet. I'm actually going to go somewhere in between, filling them to probably about 10 or 12 feet, which means hopefully it'll take maybe 10 to raise our hero and all of his commensurate equipment above our glass roof.
So with the balloons checked off, Adam and Jamie have almost all they need to put this myth to the test. The only thing missing is the results from Tori and Carrie's small-scale experiment. And back at M7, it seems that everything is finally ready to see if a small explosion can decelerate a falling lead ball. And Tori's about to add the finishing touch.
What I have here is a piece of 16th inch glass, and since the myth talks about the man falling through a glass roof, we thought, why don't we use a piece of glass? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay this on top of the explosion, drop the ball into this, and see if, this breaks the fall.
With the glass roof in place, it's the perfect small-scale representation of the myth. But will the ball, playing the role of the airman, slow down at all?
If I can time it right, hopefully, when the ball just touches the glass, I'll set off the airbag and break the fall of the ball. Well, Carrie, considering we're going to be blowing up a sheet of glass, it's probably a good idea if we give ourselves a little bit of protection.
In 3, 2, 1. Some destruction. Did the bomb go off?
Yeah, that was a good one.
At last, the airbag explosive detonated, and with perfect timing. Mere moments before the ball touches the glass, the explosion was triggered, spraying glass shards far and wide.
Adding the glass actually seemed to do more harm than it did good because it seemed to rip all the shock watches off the ball. So explosion and glass, that doesn't seem to be a good combination right now.
With the shock watches torn off, it's impossible to tell whether the ball slowed down. So to find out, they're going to drop the ball again onto another pane of glass. But this time, there'll be no explosion. Then, by comparing both high speeds, they should be able to see whether the ball falls at the same rate on each test.
Next, what we're going to do, we're going to drop the ball again into the glass, no explosion this time, and just see how that decelerates the ball.
In 3, 2, 1.
Cool.
Oh, looks like the sticker stayed.
There's more glass shards than an accident at a chandelier factory. But what happened to the ball's speed? Well, side by side, it's clear that the explosion did very little. The balls fall virtually the same in each test, and that's got Carrie ready to make some early conclusions.
At this point, based on what we've seen and done, the myth of the gunner falling 22,000 feet, landing on top of a glass-roofed train station at the exact same moment that a bomb goes off during World War II, I can pretty much, for myself, definitively say it's busted.
If I was going to fall on a glass roof, I would not want a bomb going off underneath it.
We are still going to have to take this to the full scale.
Why? because it's gonna be frickin' cool.
Well, Carrie, we're at a point with the large-scale build that we could use the information that you've gotten from your small-scale testing. What do you got?
You know, it's still a little dubious, because you got to think about the fact that the shock wave, it's going at you at 25,000 feet per second. You're falling at 176 feet per second, and when you hit, you know, it's not exactly an equal and opposite reaction, so what do you think? Also, you got to consider that there's glass shrapnel flying everywhere.
You know, look, I think these guys did a great job. We know that the devil is always in the details and the scaling. I'm starting to believe from the research we got that this guy did survive. It's a true story. We just don't know how, and there may be something that we're missing in the small-scale experiments that'll pick up when we do this full size. We have to continue doing this full size.
Sure.
I wish you all the luck in the world with this one.
Carrie, Tori, and Grant are about to test a household myth with the flick of a switch. Do you really save on energy and your electricity bill if you leave your lights on permanently, rather than turn them on and off throughout the day?
Now, this is a myth that can divide a household. Let's take our little family, for instance. Has anybody noticed that Jamie follows you around the shop, flipping off lights after you leave just to save energy? It's really, really annoying. So the idea here, I guess, is will you save on energy and bills if you leave the lights continually on rather than flipping them off every time you leave the room?
Yeah, actually, some people believe that the startup energy usage is so high, it's better to leave the lights on all the time.
Finally, everything was ready for the turning of the main switch on the control board.
Ever since the invention of the first electric light bulb in the 1800s, people have continually proposed that to save money, you should actually leave your lights on, even if you don't need them. Decades down the line, and it's time for the MythBusters to find the truth.
All right, so how are we gonna test this one?
I think we should measure the amount of energy consumed when you turn the light on, start up, and compare that to the amount of energy consumed over a period of time. So I call that steady state.
Yeah, that's cool. That way we can figure out if Jamie's actually saving any money flipping on and off the lights.
Yeah.
So the team will finally shed some light on a myth that's been around since the end of the Dark Age. But first, they need to do some shopping, which will highlight another question. How many MythBusters does it take to buy a light bulb?
My name's Mark.
Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
Grant.
Hi, Grant.
How you doing, Tori?
Hi, Tori.
Okay, Mark, so the myth is it better to leave your lights on or turn them off in order to save energy, increase the lifespan of your light bulbs, that sort of thing?
The optimum energy efficiency is simply turning your lights off.
Well, you heard it from the professional. Myth busted. I think we're done. This is the shortest myth ever, right?
Hey, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, this is
Mark may think this myth is all hot air, but the team hasn't come this far to give up without a fight. Heavily laden with a selection of the most common household light bulbs, it's back to base to turn the spotlight on this myth.
Well, first up, we're going to wire up a set of lights of several different varieties and measure their power consumption. And we're interested in 3 periods. First, power consumption during startup. Second, during maintenance, while it's sort of on. And then finally, during shutdown.
That's the plan. The only problem is that electronics whiz kid Grant may be losing his spark for electronics.
Well, apparently there is a rumor going around that I'm getting a little tired of doing all these electronic stories. So perhaps it's time for me to pass on my knowledge to an apprentice, someone who could, you know, just step into that role whenever we need that. And oh, I think Carrie is showing some interest in that.
Carrie's as keen as a bean to become Grant's apprentice. And first up, it's wiring 101.
The hot wire is 120 volts above ground. The hot wire is the one that'll kill you, so don't touch the hot wire.
These will explode, these will melt, this will kill you. This is great.
You had no
Great.
idea how
is-
dangerous my world was.
With Carrie wired about the danger, she helps carefully rig up all the lights the team bought earlier, including Grant's favorite.
That is wacky.
If anything was going to rekindle his interest in electronics, it's this.
Little sugar in the coffee this morning?
I just love electronics.
In 22,000-foot fall, Adam and Jamie are having a blast. Can the shockwave from a massive bomb cushion the fall of a plummeting person? To detonate an answer, they've come to a quarry in Southern California. But it's only just dawned on them that there's an awful lot to do.
Well, we've got to build our train station out here, pretty much right where I'm standing. Then we've got to lay out all the rigging hardware and launch hardware for the helium balloon and the drop rig. Then we've got to meet with our bomb techs and pretty much, hopefully, if everything gets done correctly, fill the balloons with helium, get the dummy up in the air, get in place, and blow this thing to smithereens.
Blow this thing to smithereens, and how? In the original myth, an airman fell 22,000 feet into an exploding train station and survived. But to test this, the MythBusters have made some alterations. They're replacing the plane with some helium balloons, the airman with Buster, and the 22,000 feet with 500. Buster will fall down a guide wire into the train station just as a 1,000-pound bomb goes ballistic.
That's a bomb.
The bomb casing's good to go, but they won't put the explosives in until everything else is ready. Starting with the replica French train station.
There we go. Here's another one.
But with 54 panes of glass, there's a real risk that when the bomb goes boom, this will turn into the House of Flying Daggers, something which Jamie is rather upset about.
The only bad thing about this is it actually is quite nice. It's, you know, we got the little kind of radiating spines, and it's pretty, but it's going to go away pretty soon.
While Jamie's feeling sad about the train station's imminent demise, Buster is feeling overjoyed because he's had a last-minute reprieve.
So Buster is not our test dummy on this one. The Carrie, Tori, and Grant actually have made one out of ballistic material, and his name is Ted, as in Bust-Ted.
Or as in exploited, detonated, and annihilated. And to help Ted assume the role of turret gunner, he's been squeezed into a tiny box.
What happened to his head?
Well, it got broken up because they put him in...
Because he's too tall for the box.
He's too tall for the box.
We'll see whether he starts to sag in the noonday heat.
With the temperature already a mind-melting 115 degrees, sagging in the noonday heat is about all that Adam and Jamie can do, too.
Well, look, everything's pretty much done. The train station's done, the bomb is laid, the guy wire positions are staked out.
You're sounding pretty tired. Are you all right?
I'm exhausted, man. It's like 115 degrees out here. I'd like to go and come back like an hour before dawn tomorrow to set this thing off.
Sure.
Yeah?
Fresh pot of coffee. This thing won't be so hot that it's going to go off when we load the explosives in it.
Exactly. All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori are turning the spotlight on a myth that's divided households for decades. To save money, is it really better to leave your lights on and never turn them off? The theory is that the energy required on startup is so great that it's better to turn your lights on once and then leave them on forever. To find out if this is true, the team has made a circuit that contains the most common household light bulbs. And now it's time to get some data.
So now we're getting down to the very serious part of the story. This is the part of the story we're actually going to measure how much power each of these light bulbs is going to draw, first during the startup, and then during the running time, and of course during the shutdown.
And to determine the power consumption, electronics guru Grant has the perfect gadget.
So in order to measure how much power each of these lamps is consuming, we have this, which is called a kilowatt. And basically it's available at any hardware store. And what you do is plug in your appliance, or in our case, a lamp, into this, and it will measure over a time period how much electricity you're using.
So, using Grant's kilowatt, the first step in this myth is to work out how much energy each of the bulbs uses when left on for an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And to help the team remember that time's up, Grant's even rigged an alarm.
Okay. 60 minutes on the clock. This is going to count up to that. As soon as that happens, bell's going to ring, and we'll know to come running, take down the measurement, and reset it for the next one.
And first up is one of the most common lights of all, the compact fluorescent bulb. And an hour later, well, the alarm works, but how did the bulb do?
0.1 kilowatt hour. Yeah, you can. This one's 0.1 kilowatt hour. Sorry, 0.01 kilowatt hour.
Okay.
So in terms of data, it's 1 bulb down, 5 to go.
Okay, so next one, halogen light. Here we go. 60 minutes.
Go!
Okay. See you guys in an hour.
All right.
The next 5 tests pass by at light speed as the team puts incandescent bulbs, fluorescent tubes, LEDs, halogens, and metal halides to the test. And after an enlightening afternoon, they have all the data they could ever need.
So, great.
Over the course of an hour, all 6 bulbs were surprisingly efficient. So if the startup energy surge is as high as the myth says, then it may well be better to leave your lights on permanently. But before testing that, Grant has a burning childhood ambition that he wants to fulfill. And he's very excited.
Here at the Livermore Fire Department, they have a light bulb that's been burning for 105 years. I really want to see this.
Oh, you could be really excited about seeing a light bulb.
It is. I can't even get a light bulb to burn for 105 days.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm Grant.
Hi, Grant. I'm Chief Jeff Solfarelli. Welcome to the LPFD.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Carrie.
Carrie, how do you do?
We hear you have a light bulb that's been burning for 105 years.
Actually, it's now up to 106 years. That's correct. Your information is good.
Is that the light right there?
That is our light. There she hangs as she is.
Ah, cool.
Okay.
The light has a webcam and it has a guest
the light
book.
has a webcam.
So
Yes, it does.
That's how you know that it never goes off. It's got its own dedicated camera.
And that's how she's been for about the last 105, 106 years.
Cool.
Yeah, It's amazing.
106 years and it's still bright as a button. And Grant has spotted why.
Look how big the filament is. I mean, even from down here, I can see how massive it is.
This is what they call a carbon filament. And the newer ones we have are the more exotic metals. Some of them are titanium. So it's much thinner and it puts out a lot more light, burns a lot hotter. This doesn't burn as hot.
With memories to savor for a lifetime, Grant and Carrie head back to the shop to take this myth to its nail-biting conclusion that could leave you with a lighter electricity bill. Adam and Jamie have built a replica train station and bomb casing as they prepare to take the plunge on the myth of the 22,000-foot fall. Supposedly, a World War II airman fell from his plane but was miraculously saved when an explosion on the ground cushioned his fall. To put this to the test, the MythBusters have replaced the plane with some helium balloons and the airman with ballistics gel 10. And the bomb countdown is not far away.
It's pre-dawn. It's now time to fill all of our balloons with enough buoyancy to lift our airmen to 500 feet. And we're out here as early as we could possibly be to try and beat both the heat and the wind. It picks up pretty early. And actually, also for the bomb techs, we're trying to beat the humidity. We want to do this when it's still pretty humid so we reduce the chance of fire.
And if the pressure in the balloons isn't enough to keep Adam and Jamie on their toes, retired FBI agent Frank Doyle has arrived with some news to make the atmosphere even more tense.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
How's it going, Phil?
If you have any influence with the weatherman, now's a good time to make the telephone call because see all of our clouds and overcast up there? That's not good for explosions because that cloud cover will keep our pressures and our noise down so that everything will bounce up, come back down, and go out. And I hope there's no neighborhood windows nearby.
This much explosives won't just blow a hole right through the cloud cover. It doesn't work that way.
You've been watching too much television.
While TV addict Jamie waits on the weather, Frank and colleague Phil get on with loading up alarmingly large amounts of explosives.
A 1,000-pound GP bomb has a little bit over 500 pounds of HE in it, high explosive, and the rest is the metal of the steel case. So that's what we have gone to great lengths to duplicate here in creating an authentic situation for our myth.
500 pounds of high explosives should ensure authenticity. But how will this train station detonation compare to previous MythBusters mayhem?
Of course, we've done a very large 3,500-pound safe.
Wow, that worked beautifully.
Now with the cement truck, we used a different kind of explosive. It had a slower detonating velocity as compared to this explosive. This explosive is about 3 times faster.
If the train station torpedo is faster than this, then what can we expect?
I think this is going to be the biggest one.
So, stand by for the biggest explosion in MythBusters history. And with the balloons all inflated, it's time for Airman Ted to rise to the occasion.
Ted, you ready? 500-foot drop, and history is yours.
To get things airborne, the boys have rigged a clever pulley system that should allow them to precisely control the ascent of the balloons and Airman Ted. At least, that's the theory.
Everybody on the winches! You're about to start to get a little tension.
3, 2, 1.
Ho! Heads up!
Houston, we have a problem.
I lost it.
The cord tethering Ted suddenly snapped, which means the balloons are up, but our airman is still grounded.
Watch out for the cable.
That one's gone.
And then things take a turn for the worse when some of the balloons start to burst. And as Adam's about to learn, that is very bad news indeed.
Are you guys totally slack?
Yeah.
That's it. We're officially screwed. We lost our buoyancy.
With 3 balloons down, there's just not enough helium to get Ted up. And what's more, the fire team says it's now too hot to safely detonate the bomb. So for today, the show's over. Understandably, the boys are feeling a little deflated.
Murphy is in full force here today, and now it's too late because not only did we have some setbacks, but those setbacks pushed us past the window that we had to set this thing off.
Ted's not holding up very well either. That's another whole can of worms. So I think we're going to have to come up with a dynamic solution in the next 15 minutes so that he doesn't just turn into a puddle with grass embedded in it by tomorrow morning.
It's savable. The structure is still here. The balloons, the bulk of the balloons are still here. The dummy's still here. The rigging's still here. I think we're good, but we've just got to wait until the fire danger is a little lower.
So, with the provision of a makeshift bed for Airman Ted, it's time to sleep on this myth until the early hours of tomorrow.
Let's go rest up.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori are testing a myth that came to light with the genesis of the common light bulb. Do you save on energy and money by leaving your lights on to avoid the power surge that flicking the switch generates? Well, Carrie, at least, is not convinced.
Well, I always switch off the lights because it just seems pretty intuitive to me that you turn off the lights, you're gonna save energy and save your light bulb. Other members of my household, they have much more important things to think about.
To answer this important question once and for all, the team are halfway through their experiment. They found out how much energy 6 types of light bulb use when they're on, and now they need to see how this compares to the energy surge that happens on startup. And for this test, Grant unveils gadget number 2.
This is an inductive current loop, and what you do is pass your wire through here, and as the current flows through here, it actually induces a voltage. This line is going to go to a computer-based digital sampling oscilloscope. So in that millisecond range, that really quick turn on I'll be able to capture that and measure exactly how much current is going through that wire.
With Grant's electrical mastermind firing on all cylinders, Carrie once again turns apprentice.
Soon you'll be able to do this blindfolded. Open your mind to your feelings. Feel the wire.
I have no idea what that's from.
Yeah.
When the test finally gets underway, it doesn't take long for a pattern to start to emerge.
So the interesting thing, after a couple different trials, we've caught there's always a big spike on startup as the filament warms up, which is to be expected, but it's not very long, and actually it gets to steady state very quickly. But I think we're probably going to have to hold our judgment till we see some of the other ones.
So it's coming to light that the energy surge used on startup is not very big at all. And that means that only a few calculations stand between Grant and a bright conclusion of the lights on or off myth.
So, crunch the numbers, and here's what I got for the incandescent. Total power used during startup is 21,522 watt seconds. Total power for 1 second is 59,519 watt seconds. And that makes our break-even time 0.36 seconds.
Okay, so from that, I guess that means I'm leaving the room to go make a cup of coffee. It's only worth it for me, economically, to keep the light on if I come back in a third of a second.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. That'd be a really quick brew coffee.
Okay, so in this instance, I am turning the lights off when I leave the room.
Yes.
A quick brew indeed. For the incandescent bulb, the startup surge is so small that you will always save money if you turn it off when it's not needed.
Stand by for the next.
Grant keeps plugging away and soon has the results for the other 5 bulbs, and they all conform to this pattern.
Okay, I got the compact fluorescent figures. 0.015 seconds. Faster than you can blink your eye. Halogen, 0.51 seconds.
Okay, fluorescent tube.
23.3 seconds.
So the common fluorescent tube draws more energy on startup than any of the other bulbs. But it's still only equivalent to 23 seconds of continuous use.
As far as a residential situation goes, that is the most likely one for you to have. Still, 23 seconds? I don't think so.
We'd like to cast a little more light on the subject. After much research, we've been unable to find another man like our hero, who is the chef's delight. He won't blow a fuse no matter what you set before him.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori are trying to digest that the cost of switching on a fluorescent tube is equivalent to just 23 seconds of continuous light, at a meager 0.36 of a second for a common incandescent bulb.
Modern replica.
Which means it's looking like it's always best to turn your lights off when you don't need them.
So far, this myth is looking really easily busted to me. I mean, I don't think that there's any way you're going to save money by leaving the lights on all the time.
I mean, unless you have a room filled with fluorescents and you only plan on being out of the room for 30 seconds.
Yeah, but I think that's only half the story. I think our fans are probably wondering, as I am, how this affects the longevity of the bulbs.
So you want to test to see if the number of times you turn the light bulb on and off has an effect on the lifetime of the bulb.
In a final test, specimen bulbs are lighted and allowed to burn out.
So the final test, before reaching a bright conclusion, is to see whether the money you save turning your lights on and off more regularly means that you spend your savings replacing your bulbs more often.
Well, it's not just energy consumption that figures into whether it's better to leave the lights on or turn them off. It's also longevity of the lamps. So what I've set up is a little timer plus a relay. What I'm going to do is take this group of lamps and turn them all on and off at some predetermined time interval.
So why don't we just put this on a 2-minute cycle?
So that's the plan. Grant's rigged the lights up to a timer, and they're going to turn them on and off every 2 minutes to see how long before the bulbs break. And 6 weeks later, the results are in.
Okay, so we've been running our longevity test with a 2-minute on-off cycle for over a month now, and the only bulb that is not burnt out is the LED.
So how does this test compare to, say, the average stress and usage that you put on a light bulb in a normal household?
Right, because I mean, these lights have been turned on and off over 10,000 times in a month.
Yeah, actually, that corresponds to over 5 years worth of stress turning it on and off in a regular household.
And given that when you turn on an incandescent light bulb, it uses the same amount of power as 0.36 seconds of continuous use and doesn't really take that much wear and tear, Jamie might be right. You're supposed to flip off the lights when you leave the room.
Yeah, I have a feeling this one's busted.
Yeah, I think it's definitely busted.
Jamie's always right.
While it's lights off on that myth, Adam and Jamie are doing their best to switch on in the dark. They're inflating helium balloons pre-dawn so that they have enough time to get the myth of the 22,000-foot fall in the air. And starting at 4 a.m., it's times like these when Adam reflects on the harder aspects of his job.
We get a lot of fan mail saying that we have the best job in the world, and I won't disagree with that, but there are also days, like this morning, when it is the hardest job I have ever done, by far.
And that's because so far with this myth, they've had setback after setback. Severed lines, burst balloons, and grounded dummies. What could have gone wrong has.
That's it, we're officially screwed.
Today may be a new day, but things haven't improved.
Yeah. That's just about the funniest thing I've ever seen. That's his ear. I'm just
He's
gonna...
like a cookie after baking, you know? He's all kind of flattened out.
It's already so hot that Ted's feeling a little flat. And that's not the only problem with this heat.
It's well over 100 degrees in the shade out here. We've got 500 pounds of explosives in here, high explosives. It's military spec, and you know, if we're anywhere in our work area and this should happen to go off, there won't be anything left of us, period.
Luckily, he has an elaborate plan to avoid a premature projectile.
So I put a blanket on it.
Once Jamie's attached his security blanket, it's time to get cooking.
Well, it's crunch time. The wind's kind of gentle, and we have to go. So it's now or never. We're inflating the balloons, and we're going to do it.
Everything that could go wrong, this is like the myth of Job is what's happening here. But I've got 7 balloons. I think each of them are at least 20 to 25 pounds. It gives me 150 some odd pounds. I think it's enough to lift our airman. The bomb squad is coming back up here, and then we just cross our fingers. There goes nothing. Okay, that's cinching up on our airman. Now he's off the ground. Now he's off the ground!
At last, turret gunner Ted has got his wings. Slowly but surely, he climbs 500 feet. He may be slightly off target, but the guide wire will ensure that he falls right into the station, which means it's time to retreat to safety.
Well, our guy is airborne. The balloons are up, cable's good. Once they push that detonator, our airman will drop for approximately 6 seconds on a blasting cap, and then a second blasting cap will detonate the bomb under the train station, hopefully at the very femtosecond that our airman is touching the roof.
With the boys a safe distance away, it's finally time to put the myth of the 22,000-foot fall to the test. And here's what's going to happen. Airman Ted is suspended so that he's 500 feet off the ground. He's connected to the train station via a guide wire. On Adam's cue, the balloons will be cut and Ted will fall. 6 seconds later, the 1,000-pound bomb will boom. Will Ted survive?
Everybody, say it with me. Jamie wants big boom.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He's falling. He's falling. He's going towards it. He's going towards it. Oh! Wow, here comes the shockwave.
The booms created a mushroom cloud of frightening proportions, and it's also set the surrounding hills on fire.
Oh, look at that!
Fortunately, the county fire department are quick to respond.
And there's
This day's just getting better and better.
Come to ground zero, it's awesome.
Frank, we'll be right there. You're my new best friend.
And after an explosion like that, Frank's my new best friend too. On the high speed, you can clearly see the cushioning shockwave before the area gets blown to smithereens. But what happened to Ted? Well, unfortunately, there was a malfunction in the guide wire, which meant that he fell way off target. But the charge caused so much carnage that Jamie and Adam should still be able to draw some equally powerful conclusions.
If there's one thing in this whole blast site that tells you what the real deal is with this kind of explosion and being close to it, it's right over here. Check it out.
Whoa!
It totally wrapped around it.
That is crazy. Oh my God.
Can you imagine what this piece of steel would have done to you if it hit you instead of this tree? I mean, it's like a necktie. We're not going to get that off of there.
No, we're going to cut it here and display it proudly on your shelf.
There's so much shrapnel that if Ted had fallen into the station, our gunner would have been a goner.
Here's the body. There's the steel. There's more steel way over there and a lot further, so...
There's no way. There's just no way. The idea is that the pressure of this one human body somehow equalized the pressure of the bomb going off. That's just not going to happen.
So, in the middle of a crater, in the middle of a quarry, in the middle of nowhere, it's time to wrap this one up.
So what are we going to call this one? I mean, look, factually, we know that in World War II, there was an airman who fell 22,000 feet from his bomber and survived without a parachute. That is historically accurate.
Yeah, but the idea that a bomb going off would provide such an upwelling of air that it would decelerate him and gently lower him to the ground is bunk. It's just not. I don't think it's possible.
What do you think, Peg?
Give me a break. It didn't happen.
So busted.
Busted.
Busted. Let's get out of here.
All right.